Splatoon 3 patch 5.0 is coming out tomorrow. Usually, new season patches have pretty big changes. This one, not so much. I can sort of understand considering there was a pretty big patch 1 month ago. So this one in particular, not having so much is, you know, expected. However, still, there are some really interesting changes that I would like to go through with you guys. So let's go ahead and check out the patch notes and see what we have. If you guys do enjoy this video, make sure to like the video and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I know you haven't. Either way, let's get into it. Patch 5.0, releasing August 30th, basically for everyone in America, and for Europe and Japan and everywhere else, it's going to be August 31st. So of course they talk about drizzle season and all the stuff that we already know about, so we're just going to go ahead and scroll past all that because this is what we really want to look at. And finally, the Splat Brella has finally got a buff. They have reduced the recovery time for Brellas lost as a result of being launched or broken from 6.5 seconds to 5.5 seconds. So what this promotes is for people who use Splat Brella is to actually shoot their Brella more often than usual, and it also allows them to get back into fights quicker and shield off enemies whenever needed. It's not exactly the efficiency buff or damage buff I was looking for, but it's I guess a step in the right direction of what the Brella might need. To be honest, if you give me an efficiency buff for the Splat Brella, I think I would be okay with it. The damage is a little inconsistent at times and they could probably tweak that too, but I can also understand that they're probably being slow at this just so they don't go too overboard where the Splat Brella becomes one of the strongest weapons in the game, which it very well could be if it's buffed too much. There's definitely a time like that in Splatoon 2, but either way, let's move on. The Undercover Brella has also received a buff. They reduced the recovery time for broken Brellas from 4.5 seconds to 4 seconds. So half a second has been shaved off, and Undercover Brellas are going to be able to do the exact same thing like I just said for regular Splat Brella. Strangely enough, out of the two, I prefer using the Undercover Brella compared to the Splat Brella, so this being a thing is also very, very nice. For the REEF-LUX, they've narrowed the spread angle when fired without charging by approximately 30%, and they've also narrowed the spread angle when fired while charged one level by approximately 29%. What this is basically telling you guys is that the REEF-LUX is a little bit more accurate and more consistent of getting the 3 hits to actually hit an opponent. This actually makes tap firing a lot more consistent too, so the REEF-LUX has just become just a whole lot better at fighting at closer range, it seems. It's actually really good for the weapon, so I'm all down for it. Like I said, this is a small patch and that's all the main weapons already. We're moving on to the special weapons, starting with the Killer Wail. If there is no target it can lock onto in the area of effect, it will now lock onto the target last in the area of effect. They've also added a display indicator and sound effect to clarify the locked on target when the lasers are fired. So basically you're going to know when you're actually locked onto a target when using Killer Wail. And the first line, I'm actually kind of confused by it. I'm not too sure if that means like the Wail is going to basically stay in one place if you're aiming in one general direction with the Killer Wail, or if it starts to follow a target if somebody walks into that area where the Killer Wail is firing. Maybe if it's a little bit late or anything like that. Like, that one kind of confuses me. If you guys know what exactly that means, leave it in the comment section below. But either way, we move on. They've also buffed the Zipcaster, now possible to attach closer to ground than before, and they've also increased the damage dealt by the explosion from colliding with the ground. The radius of that explosion has increased by approximately 50%. So Zipcaster in some way is going to act like a mini splashdown, and it's going to be doing so much more damage than it was doing before when you would collide near people. This is going to make the Zipcaster way more scarier and probably give the incentive of actually wanting to like zip directly onto people, because you're going to be applying so much more damage than before, and it's also going to be made way easier to apply that actual damage. It's not specified how much damage that is, but this seems really, really nice for people who use Stamper. It's a very interesting change, and I'll say honestly, it's probably one of those changes that we needed during the Zipcaster challenge mode as well from yesterday's video if you haven't seen it already. Either way, we have one more special to go through, the Tacticooler. They've extended the cooldown time for special gauge after placing a Tacticooler from 7.5 seconds to 10 seconds. So basically, this makes it so that Tacticoolers are just a little less spammable. I don't feel like this is going to really change the Tacticooler in any way. However, I'd say with like weapons like the NZAP and the Tri-Slosher that are very capable of getting Tacticooler fairly fast, just having 2.5 extra seconds till you actually be able to build up your next Tacticooler seems like a very fair change in my opinion. So especially when the Tacticooler is in play, you can throw it down and it's just kind of there for a huge amount of time. So it's just a bit more time to space out the Tacticoolers and all that. So, and that is all for the special weapons. We now move on to 2 perks, and this one's really interesting. This is actually the first time we've seen a Tenacity buff in so long, even coming from Splatoon 2. I don't even think they did any buffs for Tenacity in Splatoon 2, and maybe they nerfed it, but finally, something. They've increased the speed of which the special gauge fills while the conditions are met. You probably don't even know what Tenacity does, but basically you build special automatically depending on how many of your teammates die. If one of them is down, you gain special at a certain amount. If 2 of them are down, you gain special a little quicker. And if 3 of them are down, you gain special really fast. But that was never really the case either way. You're still better off just using special charge at that point. So I hope this really does change how Tenacity is. And it'd be really nice to see if it gets some decent use. For last ditch effort, they've reduced the maximum amount of effect for the ability increase while the conditions are met from the equivalent of 2.4 primary abilities to 1.8 primary abilities. So this is a really interesting change. Basically, for all the abilities that last ditch effort gets, you pretty much have to remove 2 subs off every single ability that last ditch effort gives. That would be main saver, recovery, ink saver sub, pretty much all of that. So last ditch effort just a little bit less efficient, but probably still really strong in the long run. And lastly, we have some special point changes. 2 pretty much fair ones. The Anzap going from 180 to 190, fairly fair. And the Anarchy Splash on Nova going from 200 to 210. I don't really feel like that changes so much, but all in all, very decent. One more thing I want to point out, we figured out what the Grizzco weapon is going to be. It's the Grizzco Dualies. We don't know how it's going to work, but big run this weekend, we're going to be able to try out in that. So that's going to be really fun. I'll be streaming that, by the way. Link in the description below. But this is pretty much patch 5.0. You know, there's not much to really go through. I think the biggest changes that we have to look out for is a Zipcaster and maybe Tenacity. Not sure. Hard hoping that Tenacity is actually good again, because it'd be really nice to see another perk like that actually get some usage. The Splat Brella and Undercover Brella changes are also really good too, but I still believe that efficiency and damage is something that the Brella would probably need, or something just to make it a little bit more consistent. That is really all I'm asking for it. Other than that, overall, this is a very small patch, and hopefully you guys understood it as well as I did. What do you guys think of Splatoon 3 patch 5.0? Leave it in the comment section below. It's coming out tonight for everyone in America, and basically very early in the morning for everyone in Europe, and the morning for Japan and all that type of jazz. It's looking interesting, and there's a few things I want to try out. And don't forget, Drizzle season the next day after is going to be coming out, and I am super excited for that. There's going to be some new weapons to try out, 2 new maps, and a bunch of stuff as well. Either way, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video, and I shall see you guys in a future one.